The twin suns of Zerethia Prime beat down mercilessly on the crimson desert, turning the sand into a sea of molten glass that shimmered with deadly beauty. In the heart of this wasteland, a small figure lay motionless beside a crashed hovercart, abandoned and left to die. Nia was barely conscious when she heard the rumble of an approaching vehicle. Through her fever-blurred vision, she could make out a battered human transport kicking up clouds of red dust. She tried to call out, but her throat was too dry, her voice nothing more than a whisper stolen by the wind. The transport stopped 50 meters away. A tall figure emerged, silhouetted against the burning sky. As the human approached, Nia could see him more clearly. A weathered man with sun-darkened skin and eyes that held both caution and curiosity. His name, she would later learn, was Neo. Neo knelt beside her, his expression shifting from surprise to concern as he took in her condition. Nia's lower body was malformed, her legs twisted and useless, the genetic defect that had made her worthless in her father's eyes. Baron Zelthor had many children, and in the rigid hierarchy of the Zerathian nobility, imperfection was intolerable. She had been an embarrassment, a stain on his perfect lineage. "Please," Nia managed to whisper in broken standard. "Leave me, cursed." Neo's jaw tightened. "Nobody's cursed, kid, and I'm not leaving anyone to die in this hellhole." He lifted her carefully, surprised by how light she was, and carried her to his transport. Inside, he laid her on a cushioned bench and immediately began administering water in small, careful sips. His hands moved with practiced efficiency as he checked her vital signs and applied cooling patches to her overheated skin. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Nia," she whispered, her throat already feeling better with the moisture. "Daughter of Baron Zelthor. Former daughter?" Neo's eyes darkened with understanding. He'd heard the stories about Zerathian nobles and their brutal tradition of abandoning imperfect offspring. It was called the Desert Cleansing, a practice that made his human blood boil with rage. "Well, Nia, former daughter of a bastard baron, you're under human protection now. Name's Neo." Over the following weeks, Nia slowly recovered in Neo's small settlement, a human mining colony on the outskirts of Zerathian territory. The colonists had initially been wary of taking in a noble's child, but Neo's determination had been absolute. Where the Zerathians saw weakness and shame, he saw a young person who deserved a chance at life. Neo worked long hours in the chromium mines, but every evening he would return to teach Nia about human culture, technology, and most importantly, about dignity. He fabricated a mobility chair for her using spare parts from mining equipment, giving her independence she'd never known. The other colonists, inspired by Neo's compassion, began contributing too. One modified her chair with better suspension, another taught her to read human languages, and a retired engineer named Maria helped her learn mechanics. "Why do you help me?" Nia asked one evening as Neo adjusted her chair's controls. "In Zerathian culture I am worthless. My father was right to abandon me." Neo stopped working and looked at her directly. "Your father was a coward and a fool. On Earth we have a saying, the measure of a civilization is how it treats its weakest members. You're not weak, Nia. You're one of the strongest people I've ever met. You survived 3 days in that desert alone." Tears welled in Nia's eyes, the first time she'd cried since her abandonment. Not from sadness, but from the overwhelming realization that someone valued her existence. Months passed and Nia flourished. She became the colony's communications specialist, her quick mind and natural linguistic abilities making her invaluable. She learned to repair equipment, manage supply inventories, and even help negotiate better trade deals with passing merchants. The disability that had condemned her in Zerathian society became irrelevant in a community that valued contribution over physical perfection. Then, nearly a year after her rescue, Baron Zelthor's fleet arrived at the colony. The Baron himself descended from his flagship, surrounded by armed guards. He had come to inspect the mining operations and ensure proper tribute was being paid. Neo watched from the command center, his hand instinctively moving to the pulse rifle at his side. "There's someone here who might want to see you," Neo told Nia quietly. Nia's expression hardened. "My father." "You don't have to face him if you don't want to." "No," she said, her voice steady and strong. "I want him to see what I've become." When Baron Zelthor entered the communications center, he froze. There sat Nia, alive and thriving, operating a complex array of equipment with skill and confidence. She looked up at him with eyes that held no fear, only quiet strength. Nia, the Baron's voice cracked with disbelief. You survived? No thanks to you, Father. Her words were calm, measured. Neo found me. He and the humans gave me something you never could, a chance to prove my worth. The Baron's guards shifted uncomfortably. In Zarathian culture, a child surviving the desert cleansing was considered an omen, a mark of destiny. But more than that, his daughter's cold, confident demeanor unsettled him. Neo stepped forward. Baron, your daughter is now a citizen of this colony. She's earned her place here through hard work and dedication. She's also instrumental to our operations. The Baron looked between his daughter and the human, shame and confusion warring on his alien features. He had expected to find a corpse or nothing at all, not this confident young woman who had built a new life from the ashes of his rejection. I see, Baron Zelthor said finally. He looked at Nia one more time, perhaps seeing her truly for the first time in her life. Then I suppose I no longer have a daughter. You never did, Nia replied quietly. But I have a family now. The Baron and his entourage departed soon after. As his ships lifted off into the crimson sky, Neo placed a reassuring hand on Nia's shoulder. You okay? Nia smiled, a genuine expression of contentment that transformed her face. Better than okay. I'm free. She turned her chair back to her station where a message light was blinking. Another merchant convoy requesting docking clearance. She had work to do, a community that depended on her and a future that belonged entirely to herself. In the desert beyond the colony walls, the wind howled across the dunes, carrying away the last remnants of who she used to be. In their place was someone stronger, someone valued, someone loved, not despite her differences, but simply for being herself. That was the human way, and Nia had found her home among the stars.